in 3, 2, 1, do it.
So welcome back, everyone, of course, to the TL Open. This is the map-making contest edition. We're now going to be watching a match, of course, here on Ohana, a TVT between Alive in the top left position as our purple, purple Terran, sorry, colorblind, representing Team SCV.Life here. In the bottom right, his opponent is going to be MVPNoblesse as our blue Terran.
And we see the lovely Hangul being spoken, so Orb, you can go ahead and translate that for us.
I wish I could, man. I wish I had taken the time to learn Korean, if only so I could understand those Korean casts while watching Brood War matches.
I know that Alive just said it's difficult, but I don't know what is difficult, so we'll leave that up to the 1% of viewers out there who actually speak Korean, and everyone else will just imagine what they're saying, because it's more fun that way.
Oh, it absolutely is. What's StarCraft without imagination, man? You're just going to go like 2 racks every game. Gotta have that imagination so you can come up with some sick builds, some crazy Reaper timings, etc. I would love to see some of that, especially on this map. When you can look at, there are some like back entrances, I believe. Actually, now that I'm looking at the back entrance to this the base, I think that might be a double-sized cliff.
Yeah, I think that's blocked off.
Oh yeah, so I don't think you can actually get in there with Reapers. So never mind, I take that back. This would be a pretty bad map to go for a Reaper opening on. We probably will see. Oh, I was about to say, I wouldn't be surprised to see other expand builds from these players, but we already see proxy racks, of course, going down from Alive. And look at that!
Oh,
immediately scouted by Noblesse. That is just some sick timing and game sense right there.
And that sucks. What do you do in this situation? Do you just cancel and give it up? Like, there's no way he's going to be able to complete that. And yes, that was the only option there for Alive, as Noblesse snipes that down with this sense of star. And we see the barracks going up in the main base immediately after, but that means he's going to be behind. We don't care about the units, but that means he's going to be behind on the orbital, which is going to be key moving into the mid game for Alive.
Yeah, not just the orbital, of course. We did see him drop gas, so he was probably planning on going for a factory, and that's just going to delay that factory. Granted, now it's kind of like it's a gas first build, but if it were a legitimate gas first build instead of a proxy barracks, it would have just been much earlier timing there. So that does really hurt Alive. He's just basically starting the game already on his back feet. We see that the orbital from Noblesse is already about to complete here. Meanwhile, the barracks is only about to complete from Alive. So that really hurts to start off a game like that. I gotta say, maybe just a little bit of a smarter proxy location. That spot at the natural is just so common to scout, and we saw that in the last game. The spot on the low ground next to it was not scouted. So I don't know. Maybe that would have worked out better for him. Hard to say.
I think you almost walk right by that proxy spot when you walk into the natural anyway. And I mean, if you're going to check the low ground, you're going to walk by that the proxy location where Alive put it anyway. So I think, as you mentioned, the low ground is just the dominantly better choice in every situation. We can see Alive finally finishing up that barracks, getting his factory down, staying on 1 gas thus far, so no super quick tech going to come out of him. Meanwhile, we've got Noblesse going for the second refiner here as his factory completes up. No add-ons yet on the barracks, so let's see where he brings this. I'm gonna expect to see Starport and Cloak Banshee, yes.
Yeah, that's what I would expect, simply due to the gas timing and the fact that he knows his opponent is really behind on his timing. So it's going to be really hard for Alive in this situation to defend against the possibility of something like Cloak Banshee. Now, granted, look at this. Second gas and Starport on the way from Alive, so he will be able to go ahead and get himself a Viking. The question is going to be, will he either have enough scan energy available, or will he get a Raven, or will he get that eBay and get a turret up? Because if he doesn't have any of the 3, he's going to be in some serious trouble here.
It does become a game of mind games, right? He knows he's behind, Alive that is, so maybe he can anticipate that a Cloak Banshee would be coming and play a little bit safer. I'm hoping that he's not going to switch off this starport with the factory and just keeps it and gets a Viking out quickly so that he can scout what Noblesse is up to. But let's see what he does as the starport is now completing. No add-on and no production thus far. Waiting for this Hellion to complete out of the factory, and maybe then he'll complete the swap, but just no action thus far as we continue to look and wonder what he's going to do. Oh, okay, so now he's got the Blue Flame researching, so going to be going for that very quick Blue Flame Hellion drop. Try to just swipe at those SCVs and deal some quick economic damage.
We do see the Viking now in production, though, from Alive. That will help him out. Will it be enough, though? He does have a couple of Marines in position. It looks like he's definitely expecting Banshee play as he's moving his Marines over to the corner of his base. But the Cloak is already a third of the way done from Noblesse. Nice scan by Noblesse. Does see Alive's base. He's going to realize, all right, my opponent has a starport. He has the ability to get Vikings, but he doesn't have a turret. He doesn't have, you know, a tech lab on his start board for a Raven, nor does he have, you know, enough scan energy left over, although he will have enough by the time the Banshee gets there if he doesn't spend the next 50, you know, energy on a Mule, which I don't expect him to do. But it looks like actually a canceled production there on the start board. Now he's going to go for that medevac, so as you said, those Blue Flame Hellion drops could be a very, very good choice. But, you know, I would expect Noblesse, after having scanned and seen that start board and the tech lab on the factory, to go ahead and get a Viking after he gets his first 2 Banshees to be able to defend against that.
Right. But looks like he's not doing that, continuing with the Banshee. Well, we'll have to see what comes out after he produces that. Looks like Alive took a bit of a gamble and went for the top right. This is so risky because if the Banshee had flown in from the other way, got in and started swiping at those SCVs, you know, would have done a ton of damage. Or this situation where you were headed down the right path, but you didn't continue with it. Now the Viking going to be out of position as the medevacs load up and continue into the main base. The Viking is down at almost his third base at the southwest as the Banshee flies in, cloaks, starts to go to town on those SCVs. We see, no, oh my god, there's not a scan? He's got the Raven, but no scan. He's 34.
He just dropped the Mule, man. It was so unlucky timing right there, or, you know, not smart timing, unfortunately, to not save that at that point. We did see him immediately drop the start board onto the tech lab to get a Raven, but it takes so long, 60 seconds to make a Raven. The amount of damage he's taking in the meantime might just be too much to come back from.
And he's dropping his Blue Flame Hellions into the main base now. This is going to be his chance to bring it back, but he's being a little bit overcautious here. Of course, doesn't want to lose those to the tanks and the Marines, so he just loads up and gets out of there. So going to be dealing with a pretty big economic disadvantage here as, oh my god, the Banshees uniting and continuing to go to work on the SCVs. The natural started for TSL.Alive as the first Banshee runs out of energy. The Viking going to work on that. He now has a Raven out, so he's able to deal with these Banshees, repel them out of his main base. But let's take a look at the income tab. There are 9 Harvesters on the field, 10 with the inclusion of that Mule, and that's not a good look for a Terran player at the 9-minute mark.
Not at all. It's so brutal, man. 23 workers killed, and he escaped with both Banshees. I mean, granted, one of them, no, actually not going to die because that Viking had to go back home for this other Banshee that has now arrived, which does have cloak energy, but of course the Raven is still there, so he's going to be forced to leave. No, we'll probably go ahead and lose that Banshee if the Viking is micro. No, actually, he might be able to save that. So if Noblesse saves all 3 Banshees and got that many worker kills, so he does have a Blue Flame Hellion drop in his main, though, right now, trying to kill off some of the SCVs. They've gotten actually 6 worker kills so far, 10 worker kills. Will they be able to get enough? Another up to 17 actually, so very effective here by Alive, but will that be enough? Because it's still 18 Harvesters for Noblesse and only 9 for Alive.
Yeah, seriously, and the Banshee's still going to work there. We can see an auto turret was actually dropped in the main base of TSL.Alive to deal with those Banshees just being so annoying. The natural got delayed, so now the SCV is pulled over there to continue that command center. I feel like this big attack, and it's not even that big, it's 3 tanks and several Marines, looks like 8 Marines, 10 Marines, and a single Hellion and a Banshee are going to be able to clean up the game. Or, excuse me, there's 3 there's going to be no way that Alive is able to hold this. Look, he even knows it. Lifting off the command center, floating back into the main base, but I think the lesson here is that proxying is a big risk, and, you know, when you proxy, you got to look at the cost-benefit. If you proxy in an obvious location, you're going to get punished for it.
Yeah, I think that's actually, you know, on Ohana, there's so many locations you can proxy, and look at that, a Banshee goes in and gets that Hellion kill, 2 of them, in fact, very nicely done. But there's so many really creative places you can proxy on this map, not only the low ground behind the natural, there's also a lot of space above the main where you could have, you know, like made a barracks and then floated into the main, or just, you know, ran those Marines around the side. But it looks like we're going to see the attack come forward from Noblesse. He does have siege mode ready to... No, he does not. I'm sorry. I thought I saw him upgrading that. No siege mode, so he's just going to be attacking with these tanks, which will help him out quite a bit against, of course, these auto turrets, which are armored here. And not going to be able to do too much to help out Alive. I don't think it'll be enough for him, especially with these 2 close Banshees. There's only 1 Viking attacking those, and the entire army from Alive is going down. Yeah, the majority of Alive's DPS is coming out of in the form of this Banshee, but the Marines able to move forward, snipe that off. And there's the GG. TSL.Alive taking TSL.Alive taking bad proxy #1 and losing the game. Noblesse playing very well, and I want to bring it back to mention his Banshee control. When he was controlling the 3 Banshees, harassing from the south, the southwestern, and the eastern flank into TSL.Alive's base, it was just amazing to watch. Great control, getting the absolute maximum out of them when they were down to 1 more hit from the Viking, but he would force the Viking away in one direction and then bring his other 2 Banshees back from the other direction. Very, very nice maximization of damage there by Noblesse. Yeah, nothing like what we see from like the best foe use Banshee micro. It's actually really, really clean to be able to do that. When you know your opponent has a Viking and they have a Raven, all those Marines, to be able to save all 3 Banshees on top of getting 23 worker kills, I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. That's more than you're ever going to hope for. But it really came down to, as you were saying, the mind games earlier on. It's like, oh, well, Alive's behind from the failed proxy, and then he had to make a gamble. Like, is my opponent going to cloak Banshee, or is he just going to take a really early expansion? And I think he was assuming that that Noblesse was going to go ahead and take that early expansion. Thus, he went for that blue from Hellion drop, and instead it was cloak Banshee, and he got punished for it.
Not much more to say than that. I think TSL.Alive is going to think long and hard before trying a proxy again here on game number 2. Now we're going to bring it over to a new map that we haven't seen thus far in the finals commentary. We're going to be bringing it to Burning Altar. Taking a look at this map, it's a 4-player map, the first that we've seen thus far, and it looks very, very large. First of all, is the first thing I'm noticing, and many, many multiple paths. So seems like counterattacking would be a large theme here on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. In TVT here, I feel like mech would be so difficult to pull off on this map. It would just be so hard to control all the amount of space you'd have, especially considering how spread out the expansions are. I mean, when I first loaded up the map, I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Tal'Darim just a little bit here, I guess. But, there are actually quite a few less expansions. There's just essentially 3 per base. So when you go take that third, it's like really far away from your natural. I feel like Marine Marauder is going to be the way to go on this map.
And the thing about mech is on this map, there's not one choke point where you can control all the bases like on Tal'Darim. You really have to spread out, especially from your natural to your third. Look at this. You have the option, like if we look at top right, not actually sure if the map is on the screen right now, but you have the option. Are you going to take your kind of pocket expansion, your pocket third, which is close to your main, or you can stretch out and make a stand straight line down to the other main. So much space to have to be controlled by mech. I think we're gonna see just Marine tank meta back. What are your thoughts?
It could work, man. I mean, obviously the tanks are still going to add so much utility to TVT that usually will be necessary even when you do go Marine Marauder and mix in a couple. But I gotta agree with you that that's gonna be really likely. And what we've seen on this map a couple times in the past is that there is like the one thing that I've seen the most complaints about are that there's this like weird cliff between the main and the third at all 4 bases. And you can actually like drop tanks on that cliff, and yeah, and you can siege the main of the third. It's just like kind of like on Lost Temple at the natural. So I definitely think that tanks and tank drops are going to be very prevalent here. But at the same time, you are going to need that mobility of the infantry. I don't know, unless people are just going to really utilize Blue Flame Hellions. But I'm eager to get this game started. Are you ready to get it going, Chill?
Yeah, let's do it, Orb.